and welcome to We Women Want. This is our weekly show where we talk about women's issues, we talk to women achievers, we also try and find a support group, find solutions for those who need us. But today I have a panel of very feisty women, and of course the topic is also such that why do women have to stick to certain stereotypes? Why can't women be who we are? Why are we always judged? And if we are, do we really care? Joining me on the panel is Shazia Ilmi. She is the national spokesperson for the BJP, but also someone who, in her own individuality, has carved a space for herself. Kaveri Bamzai, former editor, she broke a glass ceiling. She was the first woman editor of India Today and an author, and again a columnist who writes on such issues. So it's going to be good to have her here. And
Thanks.
Reena Dhaka, she's a fashion designer. Again, someone who was there in the beginning when it was really a man's world again. So you also broke a lot of ceilings, or should I say floors, with your stilettos. Catwalks. But I'll begin with you, Shazia, because politics is really tough because the bar is so much higher. And you have women like, say, Mahua Moitra, Priyanka Chaturvedi, yourself, Mamta Banerjee, women who are judged for just being themselves and speaking their mind. They'll say कि ये difficult है, ये attitude देती हैं इस तरह के, या तो आप बिंदी पहन के सुषमा स्वराज and स्मृति ईरानी जैसे बन जाओ.
Women become the coolies of cultural weight.
I like
We
that.
carry the weight, and all the sanskar, all the values, the maryada, so to speak, you are supposed to bear it on your shoulders. And in political life, it's even more pronounced. The way you dress up, the way you speak, it's very tough. So if you ever seen angry, pushing the lens away, it's a woman doing it. You battamiz, you behaya, shameless, brazen, arrogant. Oh, look at her screaming away. I mean, men shout all the time. They hurt and they're fisticuffs. But if a woman were to see shouting at somebody, there's a different image altogether. So you have to bear that bhar, that boj, that weight all the time. And it's tiring. It's very exhaustive. It's a very exhausting process. You look a certain way. So either you fit the stereotype. If you try to be a little bit of yourself, your individual self, and the things that you wanted to do as a young girl and you were not able to do because of the traditional household, you want to break that, and in your much older stage you want to just be cool or casual. You're not allowed. You're not taken seriously. You look a certain way, you behave a certain way. I mean, men abuse, the expletives they use, they hit out, and there are all kinds of things that happen. A woman can't be caught dead doing any of that. Just talking loudly is like, that tez bolti hai. It's just too much. So you're screeching, you're screaming, you're hysterical, and just look at her. कैसी औरत है ये? देखो महिला वो कैसा करती है. So there is this added thing which is, like I said, it is very tiring. I just can't bear the weight of it. It's very tough.
And yet you do it so well.
I just don't want to be this thing. I want people to know that you can be yourself. The individual above the stereotype, the individual above the ideal is what I seek, And I want young women, even in politics, to be more themselves. I don't want to dress up a certain way to be taken seriously. It's my mind, it's my prowess, it's my acumen, and it's my hard work which has taken me there. Why should clothes decide my views or my ideology or my purpose in life? I will not let my apparel or my tone and tenor decide, and people to decide as to who I am. So I defy it in my own way. But yes, it's very tiring, Priya. Give me a break, somebody. बचा लो. रहम कर, मैं अल्लाह से कहती हूँ, मुझे रहम कर.
Kaveri, Shazia has brought out some of the things in the political life, but these things also spill over in normal everyday lives. On fashion, I will bring Reena in, unless you also want to comment on the fact that how, we are judged by a lot more than just what we say, but even, what we wear, what we dress up.
I think it's the responsibility of women of a certain age, whether you want to call it the postmenopausal woman or the grayer woman, the wiser, older woman. I think it's their responsibility to actually show the way now. We've lived a certain way all our lives, and we may have lived conventionally, unconventionally, but it is up to us now to show that it is possible to live in your own individual way, as Shazia was saying, and be yourself. And I think that is the greatest gift that women of a certain age can give women who are much younger, to show them that, look, it need not be a burden. You can be yourself and you can stand up for yourself. And when I see younger women in the workspace now, I see that they stand up for themselves. I see that they don't take the kind of rubbish that we did. We thought was part of the
Yes,
game,
that's
you know. We thought that you had to take the misogynistic jokes of your seniors. You had to listen to the same jokes over and over again by men of a certain age who thought that they were very
Yeah.
funny just because they were in positions of power. And they say no. And I think for women, the greatest superpower is to say no. And I think when you get to a certain age, you can do that, and you have to practice it. It's not very easy,
Yes.
but it is much more comfortable. And that weight, the cultural weight that Shazia is talking about, is a very real weight. But to be able to break that, and I see certain women in public spaces in different kinds of walks who are aging what I would call disgracefully. And it's a wonderful thing to see. When I see someone like Jaya Bachchan, she doesn't care what people think about her. Shobha De, she doesn't care what people think about her. Good or bad, when I see someone like Sudha Murthy, she speaks her mind. We may not always agree with it. But I think those are now women who are lighting the path. And I think it's quite an interesting thing to see. You see it in the West much more, but you see it in India now, that grey economy, the older woman, things are aligning to shine the light on her. And I think all of us who are now in that position in terms of age, we have to do the same.
I'd just like to, a small intervention before you go to Reena. In a newsroom, and Kavri wrote about it actually. I was a producer, and we did a show called The Woman. And in that particular newsroom, imagine I'm producing a show like that. And you know,
I
it was
can
something.
imagine.
And there was a big cake. It was somebody's birthday, I think the owner's brother. And all the guys are there, and somebody was supposed to cut the cake into slices after and they just looked at me. There was only one. Shazia, do that. And I said, I'm really bad at it. Make me do this. But they just looked at me. You were supposed to do that. And I'm producing a show, a different kind of a show, The Woman, when it's all about women's struggles and,
Women's
I'm like, why do I have to do this?
Yeah, but I think that is where all the younger women are now saying, no. These are small things, Shazia, but they're very, very big. And they matter culturally, they matter socially. And I think that's what's interesting.
Yeah. So, Reena, I want to bring you in the conversation a bit about what they said, but also, what Shazia said about dressing in a certain way. But, I took the example of Sushma and Smriti Irani, but they have dressed in that certain way, what is conventional, and yet been unconventional also. So, they've also broken that barrier, so to speak.
So the power you see in, at least I've been a woman at work, which means I'm really working in many Indias. We work with labor, we work with artisans, we work with media like yourselves. So we are working on various, the gloss part of the fashion and also the absolute grassroots part of fashion, wherein you're literally in the village and the hardest of the villagey situations, whether it's your block printing or certain artisan, where you are tackling with them and their understanding. So yes, when you look like a safe Maji or an older woman, you are treated differently. I have seen that all my life, and I was very young when I began. So even a pair of jeans and a covered top, it would give an assessment of giving me kind of a dismissal. Initially, it also turned us a little aggressive. So I learned to fight it back over the years, because now I'm older, I understand these are the causes we made. But it turned us, because initially I remember in these very big factories, we were so young, this Master G's who we had to beg to get our work done over the other guy, they would try slowly over the table from there to try and hold your hand.
Oh, really? What acrobatic feat.
Yes, I'm like saying it as real as it was. Then the others would always put you in these situations. Like there was a colleague of mine who was sitting on the next desk to me, but she obviously had a wow figure. 10 on 10, 36, 24, 36. I was a little lanky girl. She would be always called in to do the test fits. So yes, these were the pre-Me Too eras. And of course, thank God for the poor ladies who have lost their lives literally in our cases. And the change we saw in the streets when we visited markets like Chandni Chowk, from whistle, whisper, check your car and all that, it became
Raunchy film.
It became Benji. Benji. So thank God
There's
they
no
moved us to
medium
Benji.
ground, huh?
Yeah. And as I got older, that of course lessened. And I remember this one movie, I don't remember the name, but it sort of synchronized my life for me for that time, wherein Shah Rukh Khan is playing kind of Braille to Twinkle Khanna in some kind of a spoof. And he goes, "Ab wahi ho behan ji, Panto wali." I became Panto wali.
That's a stereotype again.
Oh, fantastic.
That's quite crazy.
Just
But yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So I wore a pant.
But tell me, like you work with a lot of artisans, it's a whole lot of people work. So would they treat their male boss the same way as they would look at you? I have a problem with my staff because I'm there. I don't know. When my nephew or my brother says something to them, they listen. And sometimes they don't take me seriously or they don't like it. So do you face that? Have you faced that?
So we were always women very young at work to now, of course, older. So there are men, like I've seen now my daughter-in-law, she's also in fashion. So her relationship I saw is very different to what mine was when I began. Because I came around in a very young age, 19. They were nothing in fashion. They were also new to learn to adjust to us type of creatures giving them orders. So what really helped is A, you need to work doubly harder. They respect that. 2, you need to know your subject. First, they will challenge you. They will not believe you. They will dismiss you. Post that, they start accepting you. Because they don't want to take orders from you. They don't want, a female like the wife, daughter who they are really controlling at home suddenly start telling them exactly what's to be done and how it is to be done. Like my way or the highway. So yes, it took time, but to have a solid knowledge of your subject always helped. And over time, I've seen fashion has really, at least in the urban areas, helped educate, because now the second generation is up. Their own children went and followed our journeys. So they are very acceptant of the fact today. I see girls on metro in India. My God, I don't mean to sound, here I'm being judgy, crop tops. There is almost like a cuddle happening in front of you, and there is a fully crowded scene. I don't see any type of male really looking at them or gaping or gawking. This is my city
this
today.
This is the new normal.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Yeah, that's great. And one sees it, but in smaller towns and
Yeah.
places where I come from, you look at the whole marriage market, eligibility. And even when you go looking
Marriage
for...
market changes the whole game. There you go back to the time.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
so conventional.
Yeah.
No, it's very conventional.
But what I like
it's
in
only
society-
certain section goes through that. If you see the
Our urban
real
Delhi
India,
has improved greatly.
That is true.
From when I was in the 90s, a young girl moving around, to today,
Yes.
a girl moving around, choosing the choice of her clothing. And in whatever background, she's more safe than I was when I came around in the 90s.
I know, but I think we all are the same generation, so I can talk about that serial Sex in the City, which began. It was such a thing, and now they're also in their 50s.
Exactly.
And look what they've done to a great show. I don't know if you've been seeing it. They've made it so woke, so politically correct. So everybody has to have someone in their life, which is why
But Priya, I think, the conversations have also changed. What was politically correct, say 20 years ago, is now completely different. You'll be judged as being woke. Or what was things that were said in India, things that are being said now by people, women, men, would never have been uttered, say 20 years ago. So I think the idea of conversations has also changed. Some have, because of social media, become extremely toxic, especially when women express themselves in the way that they wish to. They're immediately taken down. And then, in a way, they're detectives scouring their timelines, looking for other things that they may have said, which fall in the same purview. So the minute you say something that challenges the new normal, because the normal keeps changing. I think the things that were said 20 years ago would now be considered politically incorrect. The things that were politically incorrect 20 years ago would now be seen as politically acceptable. It also depends on who is leading the conversation now, and who is in charge of the conversation, who is in charge of the cultural space. And I think increasingly, the right wing is not very favorable. I don't know. Shazia may disagree, but it's not very favorable to women who want to challenge the convention. Even in terms of just discourse.
No, so
even in terms of just saying what they wish to. So I think that is where we have come to a point where things that were said on Sex and the City 20 years ago were fun. Now they're considered to be
politically incorrect.
Completely
We've
incorrect.
become very dissected.
Yes, very polarized.
Okay, I'm going to hold your disagreement on the table. Take a quick break and we'll come back to Shazia. So stay with us. Hello and welcome back to We Women Want. We're here discussing that why is it always the woman who has to be politically correct? Why is she judged? And what is political correctness? Is it changing over time? I'm going to come to you, but first let Kaveri.
Yeah, I just wanted to finish that thought. The idea now is that the discourse has become so polarized that you have to be on this side or the other side. And women who want to just be themselves are finding it tougher and are finding that they either alienate the left or the right wing. I'm not saying that the right wing is more close-minded than the left wing. Both can be equally close-minded, and both can be equally judgmental of anything that challenges them. And I think women, especially, are prone to that because whenever they want to challenge what is the conventional discourse, they get caught in the crossfire.
So I disagree with Kaveri on both the points, and I think let's go to the US. We're going to talk about Sex in the City. I think the generation before this, whether you look at Gloria Steinem or Betty Friedan, or you look at European feminists like Andrea Dworkin, I think they were way ahead. I think there's a regression now. And I think with Carrie and all the characters of them, they need to have a man, they need to be an object of desire, they need to dress up a certain way, they need to have a lot of sexy boyfriends in your life. I think it's a complete regression. And I think this forced wokeness is being imposed on us. It's just so forced because you want to appear cool. And I think it's contrived. And I think women much freer, talking about the US, and we talked about some European feminists, there was a need you could look any which way. Now you have to look hot at all ages, which is again a lot of burden. You become a coolie again, carrying weight. You have to age a certain way and how good they look. And but they're stuck with dating men with wealth, looking great all the time, wearing those impossible dresses. I mean, nobody can afford them, especially the lives they lead. So I think it's a complete regression, what we are facing today. I think the wokeness is forced. The second point about the right wing, we all heard what Smriti Irani had to hear in the parliament. You know, what Jayaprada had to hear. I mean, the most obnoxious things that were said by. So, and about me, when I left a certain party and joined, what they did to me, just filthy things. I'm the only person who's gone to cyber security cell, to make a complaint because it's filth. And I said, I'm not going to take it. Then all the natural, organic trolls who are there, they always said, kitna lipstick lagaya hai, kitna wo lagaya. So that was a gentle. So because I joined the BJP, so it was the other way around. And it's just a stereotype that right wing will be like that. I'd rather be, and I've covered various, I've been a political journalist, so I'd rather be a Behenji or a Mataji than be this object of desire, than to be a hot thing that people can latch at. So if I have to make a choice, I'm happy being a Behenji than this, arey iske saath to chakkar chal sakta hai, ye to badi available hai. And this kind of conversation, you'll never have the right wing.
But no, I disagree on the last point a lot, in fact. But
you can, but it's my experience.
It's my experience. But
it's my lived experience.
Politics is a battlefield.
Politics is a battlefield, whichever way. Let's just put that out. But why does she have to choose this or that? Is the question.
I mean, why choices, I guess, are the minute to minute, I would imagine, for all of us. And there are roads we have. I've always found that when I get out, I mean, it's a very poor analogy, but because I travel so much, I have to run into these hotels and they give me a room for maybe a small one-nighter type, and I have to find my way back or up and down 2-3 times. The minute I get out of the elevator, I always take the wrong turn. So I've realized that if I took just the opposite turn to what my initial instinct said, I would be on the right path. But so I think I don't know how harsh it is in politics. And I do applaud your courage to survive in it, because I know it's a very different world. And we are like film industry, which is now again also improving and changing because of the tech of the newer generation, of the younger stars and your OTT. I don't know how television is, but let me tell you, fashion is one hell of a safe place for a girl.
Really?
Yes.
But isn't the
Because-
emphasis on whether it's fashion or other places, especially when you talk, isn't the emphasis on body and looking a certain way?
But you
that's
know,
the
a
thing,
model is our object of work. You get it? So I have been in these rooms. In fact, I'm going to go do a chat with one of the stars called Pooja Batra. And I remember being in Dubai years ago in a very big show, a fashion show with all the designers were together. There was Bal, there was Ashish Soni, a young designer, and there was JJ, and there were a whole lot of us. And suddenly, before you change, that there was no change room, there was a mass change room, and there's pandemonium of models not knowing what to wear, and they're all in there like dummies without anything before they get into their clothing. I saw firsthand with my own eyes, the boys in that room were very much looking at them objectively, exactly like in a doctor's profession. There was no thought.
No.
That they, even if they were straight guys, and I could vouch for that, because there is not much mishandling, I feel, in fashion. I don't know what the models say, but in my opinion, I have been very safe as a young girl, as a person in fashion, and I work late with artisans, with craftsmen. No.
No, I have
But
not felt
I
safe.
think one
I
thing
have not
that-
felt safe.
I think one thing, Shazia, I wanted to intervene there as well. I think the idea is that we have carried these burdens, and you have, okay? But you have shown that it is possible to have your own politics and not be guided by X or Y and still have a space in a very, very competitive public sphere. So I think that is something to celebrate. And I think we don't do that often enough. We carry the bitterness and we carry the toxicity that has been heaped on us. And, you know, a lot has been done. But I think it is now time for women of, say, like Shazia or Reena, who've accomplished so much, to say, look, I have been there, done that. These are the things that I have learned. And I have still stood my ground, and I think I'm still standing here. There's a lot of virtue in saying that I'm still here.
Correct.
And I still count. I have an 83-year-old mother who told me the other day, I want to remain socially relevant. And it struck me that why can't an 83-year-old woman want to be socially relevant? She said, I want to know what's happening. I read the news. I watch the news. I want to engage in conversations with people who know more than I. But I think that is what women, and I go back to age being used as a superpower rather than saying, oh,
I agree with
you
that.
know, she's now, okay, you're a grandmother. In my, no, you're a mother-in-law.
Mother-in-law,
Okay.
not
Soon,
good.
I guess you...
Maybe, who
whatever.
knows?
But I'm saying that, can you imagine 20, 30 years ago, our grandmothers were invisible. So I think this visibilization
true.
of women and senior women, call it what you like. I'm very happy to be called a senior citizen. I'm soon going to be there.
But
Can I
don't you
ask
think
something?
ageism is a factor more with women than with men?
But I think it's up to us, Shazia.
Yeah.
To
I
deny
agree with
that.
that.
Ageism is
And
very
to
much with
defy
men
that.
also.
But
To defy
and one
that.
does, and
She's
one
saying
does.
with
men
But
also,
overall, men don't face as much ageism that women do.
But it is up to, you still have those men who color their hair and their mustaches are still not colored. No, it's quite a disgusting sight.
Eyebrows.
And the eyebrows still remain white.
But,
so I think we have to say, look, let's defy that, yeah? I'm not saying let it all go and, you know, you
Yeah.
necessarily have to gray your hair
gray,
or
And I think
let your
public
hair
speaking
go and whatever. But you have to use, I think you have to weaponize your age and you have to say, you
I
know,
like that.
I think you have to weaponize
It's very empowering what Kaveri
and
is
you
saying.
have to say that let's just be who we are and let's show the way for a new generation of women or men. Why not? Our sons, use us as role models. At
Correct.
least my poor two boys do, and I'm very proud of that. So why not?
You're
I
a
think,
great role model for your sons.
Well, I don't think so, but they think so, which is great.
you are.
But I'm sure your sons also regard you as.
Well,
great.
they do take the piss out of me.
That's okay. That's what boys do, or
that's just-
girls do much more.
Yeah.
But I think that is I think the heart of it. I don't know if we answered your questions. Though.
But I have a question.
Okay.
Shudu, what I understand from your take is that obviously you're keeping it very well controlled, but from your heart, I sense that pain,
Yeah.
that frustration,
And anger. Also.
and your anger at what
Yeah.
your journey has been and how you can't even talk about
Yeah.
it. That is what the biggest thing is, and it's true. As when you're a young woman, this is what ageism is. That
Exactly.
nobody's going to mess with an older
Yeah,
woman,
yeah,
but they are not going to leave that all eyes follow the hot chick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like
But even
if you
the-
just follow a man's vision, and even if it's your husband, your brother, your father, your grandfather.
Won't you look at a
they
hot
will-
guy, Reena?
Yeah, but I would, but
Even
not
women
all
do-
women are going to be just like frozen.
And what it is about women is that all women have been hot chicks at some point in
Yeah,
their life.
exactly.
We didn't know it. At that
But
time,
we
were
didn't
so
know it.
self-critical.
But thank God we didn't know it.
But like-
we wouldn't have survived.
I have empathy, and I know this is a dialogue, which is a can of
Yeah.
worms, and none of us, we are all keeping that lid closed from
Yeah.
time immemorial.
Exactly.
And perhaps in a way, it's like there is a site which says "Mard ko dard." I haven't ever
Mard
gone
ko
a
dard
Mard
nahi
ko
hota.
dard, something like that. Where the
And
men
tough men
also
don't
feel
cry about
exploited.
it.
Yeah.
But there are also horrible things that are said about women, and I've been in a Hindi news setup. Coming from Kanpur, literally like I heard somebody say, "Bhoodi, ghodi, lal
Godi,
lagam."
godi, lal lagam. Yeah.
It is so sexist and demeaning.
Yeah,
Would I like my mother or my masi to be my khala to be talked about like that?
yeah.
It would really hurt me, and hurt me now, because somebody could say that about me. If I wanted to be flamboyant, it's my desire to be flamboyant today and to wear lots of makeup and to really dress up. But if it's scary. Those things scare you and they condition your mind. One more thing I want to point out is public spaces are more safer now.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference. I remember in Kanpur,
Yeah.
I went for a coaching institute. It was scary.
Yeah.
It took a lot to get there. My brother had to come. There was Satar Sahab, the person who would only a rickshaw man allowed to take me there, because my father trusted him. Or it's not like that anymore.
Bringing
So
up-
spaces,
yeah, spaces are
transport,
better.
access to public spaces has improved, and that has also made a difference to women in small towns.
So, and also educating boys.
Yeah, I think that has also helped. In fact, there's a lot of invisible work that's gone on, not just in families, but with non-profit organizations who've sort of understood the culture of the street and have tried to,
Then Mardon Baat is actually
train
to appreciate the
boys,
woman.
train
Mard ko
boys
dard.
to look at women differently.
Yeah.
But I think whatever I gather from here is that there's a tight lid on the anger of women in this country, and when that lid opens, it's not a can of worms. It'll be like fleeing.
Amitabh Bachchan was the angry young man.
We are the
But women are not allowed to be angry.
We are the angry older women.
Older women.
Angry birds. But my anger is my weapon.
Yeah.
Because that anger that I felt, the sense of injustice, keeps me going.
Yeah, but
And
it
I
shouldn't
tell
turn
women-
into bitterness. That's my only
I
thing.
agree.
I think.
No, it's a catalyst of positive change.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you keep that anger alive. It's like
have
a
to.
mashal, or like an ignited.
I'm sure we
it
all have
ignites you.
stories all of us have experienced
Right.
in our
No,
lives,
I
which
know.
we
Yeah.
have never
Which
dared
we have
to even
never-
bring to our
which
own
we have
minds.
never
This is the show for those
Yeah.
stories, so please
Yeah.
bring them next time.
Oh my God, yeah.
done
But
now.
I think Shazia's stories would be more
Yeah.
now.
No, all of us
Mine
are
are,
gonna-
yeah, even yours.
No, we would love the stories, but the
Priya,
part
tell us
is
about
now-
yourself.
Tell us that
You have to now.
Next one, ask us your
You
turn.
have two journalists sitting with you.
Former anchor. Okay, the least I can do is
Yeah,
ask
we have
this
three
anchor.
journalists here.
Yeah,
right,
we are
in a
three
way.
journalists, and Reena's halfway
I'm a
there.
normal person with lesser, I guess,
No,
IQ than you girls.
you have much more IQ than
She's
all
too
of us.
self-effacing.
But we're going to come. No, that's true. You are. We're
Priya,
gonna
last bit
come
before
back.
we end, your own experience. We want to know. Also,
No.
you want to share.
No, my own experience also in that sense, but I've actually enjoyed being a girl. There's been no, I think maybe I came at a time, or because one was at,
Upbringing, also parents.
Upbringing, parents, and the jobs that I've had.
Yeah.
It's been actually fun. Though Kaveri and I worked in the same office.
And we had so much fun. We were
And I was
able
there
to
when
do.
Kaveri broke the glass ceiling and became the first
No,
editor-in-chief.
but we had so much fun doing stories.
That's also your organization.
Yeah.
Can I say that?
Yeah, of
There
course.
are many organizations out there, and I've been part of the Hindi news.
I
Very
was
difficult setup.
going to say
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Politically incorrect. I'm
We
glad you said
we
it.
were quite fortunate, but I think we did stories together, Priya. You did stories that I anchored,
Yeah.
which you can't even imagine, doing now. So I think we had a lot of fun.
No, I remember as a journalist, we were sitting and, because one was so, maybe the a public school upbringing or whatever. I remember late night meeting or this thing, and there was Praful Patel, Suresh Kalmadi walking in, and I was like saying, "Arey, look at this," I was pulling one of the leg over their t-shirt, and somebody told me, "You are talking like that." I said, "Yeah, he's wearing casual t-shirts and not the kurta." So I made some comment, and they said, "You're ragging him," but one could say that and get away and not be misunderstood. I hope, but never know. But on that note, I think I'll end with what Kaveri said. Now is the time for women to be themselves. That anger which we kept inside can come out in a positive way. We can say what we feel. And the good part is, I think the younger girls have also taken that seeing the example and just being themselves. So women of all ages are being themselves. That's the positive takeaway, really. And we don't care if you're politically correct, politically incorrect. We don't want to be judged.
Thank God.
Thank you. Thank God. On that note, thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.